Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition, a special edition of Bedford County Sports Talk Live. Bill, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about here that's happened just here in the last day or so. Some Titans talk about our new coach. And first, I want us to thank our sponsors.
Let's thank our sponsor, Badcock Home Furniture.
And more.
761 Madison Street, right next to McDonald's. Squire Billy King and his staff would love to help you. 931-685-9644. They've got living room furniture, dining room furniture, mattresses, home office, electronics, financing is available, and they've got some great prices. They've even got some fire pits. Go in that store and just check it out, and if he doesn't have it, he can get it pretty quick. A lot of stuff out there at Badcock.
Oh, yeah. It's a big building, and it's full.
It's full, and it's got all sorts of stuff you wouldn't think was there.
Yep.
And the prices are really, really good.
Bill, I want us to, before we get into the meat of what we're talking about, I want to make the announcement that Bedford County schools are open tomorrow, except for Cascade Elementary, Cascade Middle, and Cascade High School, which are having a major water problem. Most everybody knows that Bell Buck and War Trade's in a crisis right now with their water, trying to get their levels back up. And they're going to have to cancel schools because of that, because it's basically not safe for the kids to be there without that full.
And to just kind of explain a little bit, it sounds like you had the freezing all of us had, but you have tanks of water. So when it was leaking out, those tanks got low. It's going to take a while to build them back up.
Right. And our supply from Tullahoma was getting cut down because they were having the same issue. So it's just a trickle effect, a domino effect. And we're in a mess. Now, we do have some long-term problems there, but they're going to have to address those once we get over this hump. But schools are closed tomorrow for those three schools, open for every other Bedford County school.
Except hopefully they can go virtual maybe for Cascade.
Possibly. That's been mentioned. That was in a statement from the school system. And just wanted to let everybody know about that. Well, Bill, yesterday we had a bomb drop on Nashville with the hiring of a head coach.
I think, boss, you're actually doing a show, and I'm sitting here texting you going, I got breaking news. I'm calling you. I forgot about you having your show on. But didn't see it coming. I was actually talking to a buddy of mine on the phone, and there was a rumor out that they were going to hire him.
Yeah.
But sometimes that takes time. This came out quick last night. Brian Callahan is your new head coach of the Tennessee Titans. He's 39 years old, 14 years coaching experience in the NFL. What's different about this guy is he's Bill Callahan, and a lot of y'all may remember his dad. His dad coached the Raiders.
Yeah.
And I believe his dad made a Super Bowl and lost it. He was the coach when McNair lost to the Raiders. And the Raiders then lost in the Super Bowl to John Gruden.
Right. The Buccaneers.
Yeah. Bill Callahan was the head coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's been an offensive guru as far as offensive lines go, from the Cowboys to the Jets back when they were good. He's at Cleveland right now. So that is his son. But this means Brian Callahan is an NFL kid.
Right.
His whole life has been in the NFL.
And the hope is that we're going to see him come along with him.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen.
What do you think the chances are? 75%?
I would say 95%.
95%.
Unless the owner of the Browns comes in and is kind of a rear end about it. And I don't think anybody will be, because I think the head coach there is going to let him go for sure to coach the son. But even then, the Titans could technically do this, even though he's under contract. You could make him the assistant head coach / and give him a promotion. Right. And I don't think you can stop an assistant from moving.
Yeah, I think that you get a deal like that, a package deal, and then some of his assistants that you were telling me about, possibly. Oh, it's
but this kid's resume, just to go over just real fast for everybody, in 2010 to 2015, he was an assistant coach with the Broncos. So he was under Gary Kubiak when they won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. And I think Peyton Manning's recommendation had a lot to do with this.
I'm sure.
Manning really thought a lot of him.
Right.
And thought a lot of him. So that was good. In 2016 and 17, he was the QB coach for the Detroit Lions. 2018, the Raiders QB coach. 2019 to now, the Bengals OC. And that's worked out pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Bengals went to the Super Bowl, what he's worked with. The quarterbacks he's worked with, and I'm bringing this up because of Will Levis. He worked with Peyton Manning, Matthew Stafford, Derek Carr, Joe Burrow. But maybe his best coaching job was this year with a guy by the name of Jake Browning. Right. After Burrow gets down, everybody thinks it's over. And, buddy, he had that Browning kid ready to play.
He kicked it into gear. He was ready to play.
I thought that was big time.
Yeah, it was. That's an excellent job of coaching with some obviously hidden talent that nobody was after this kid. And they got him, and look at what's happened for him.
So you see some coaching all of a sudden, just because your quarterback went down, this kid comes in and plays great.
Okay, I think the impact that we're going to feel with this is if the dad comes in and gets that offensive line position and looks at what we've got, evaluate the talent quickly here, and try to determine what we need, what we've actually got. He knows the deal.
Yeah, I just don't think you've seen the offensive line coached up, in my opinion. That's why it's been the worst in the league for the last 2 years. It's really not been good for 3. Used to, back years ago, we had one of the better lines. And we weren't using first-round picks on it either. We were getting them in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round.
Well, you had some offensive line coaches.
Well, Mike Munchak was a great offensive line coach.
And he's already sent a message that he'd love to come back and coach. But,
But actually, I think Bill Callahan is a little – I think he's the best coach in the National Football League when it comes to offensive linemen.
All right. In your opinion, what's going to happen to all the coaches left behind?
And there's a big concern there. Obviously, I think he made the statement today. He's going to interview every one of them, look at them. But obviously, there's going to be a new defensive coordinator and a new offensive coordinator. Book it. The Thomas Brown guy was the OC for the Panthers, and it appears he hit a home run in the interview process. It appears it was down to Brian Callahan, Thomas Brown, and the Quinn guy from Dallas.
Right.
That's the only one got 2 interviews.
Okay. So,
but Thomas Brown apparently was a home run. Now, you say, why would you be interested in the OC from the Panthers? Well, it goes back to Sean McVay and the Rams. He was an assistant head coach there within the 2nd year he was there, and he was with McVay for 3 or 4 years. And all this coaching tree goes back to Kyle Shanahan, the Shanahan family, and Sean McVay. And that system seems to be working.
Oh, yeah. You see it. Everybody that's come out of that system has had success.
Yes.
You see, and where he came from, there was success. I mean, it's a tree of success on offense.
Right. And the other guy I'll tell you to look at is Clint Kubiak, who's Gary Kubiak's son, who's the 49ers passing game coordinator. And, of course, Coach Callahan worked with him, as did Rand Carthon in San Francisco. But you go back to the Broncos and see the tie with his dad coaching in Denver.
Yeah.
So that's the other name I would look at OC if it's not Thomas Brown. But if it is Thomas Brown, and that was your first 2 choices for head coach,
you got them both.
Wouldn't it be sweet to get them both?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
If that was really your top 2 choices,
that
would be pretty nice to get that. The thing I think you're going to see here with this bunch is you're going to see a multiple offense, but they're going to run the football. Look at McVay and Shanahan. It's not like we're throwing it around the yard all the time.
Right.
What I don't think you're going to see is it's 1st and 10. We run off tackle. It's 2nd and 8. We run off tackle again. It's 3rd and 7. We got to throw.
Behind the chains, always.
Always.
Yeah.
And then I think, like Drew Hooker spoke to, I think it's about scheming your guys into space.
Right.
Whether it's the tight end, the receiver, the running backs. There's a way to scheme people open. Yeah. We talked about on the Saturday show. It was Dallas and Green Bay. Why was Green Bay's receivers running around wide open?
Oh, I know.
Because Matt LaFleur schemed it that way.
You look at the Bengals and how they space people out, getting those and it just plays out right there. So if they bring that to the Titans, and you get maybe 1 or 2 key players that you don't have currently on the roster, it's a whole different offense.
The only guy that I was disappointed, he didn't want to interview with us, by the way, was Ben Johnson from Detroit. He's done a great job. He's got 2 ex-Titans in Detroit, Khalif Raymond, who never did much here at all.
Yeah.
And the Reynolds kid they brought in from the Rams. We cut him mid-season because they couldn't play, but Buddy looks pretty good in Detroit. Again, when you scheme people open, it's a lot better than saying, "Hey, David, you just get open."
Right. You show them how. You put a system in place that allows them to get open.
Right. I mean, if you were scheming D-Hop open, how good's that going to be?
Oh, man.
Because he didn't have to be open anyway.
No.
But you're scheming that guy open, he may go 1,500 yards.
Yeah, could
15 touchdowns.
So let's think about this for a second. We know Tannehill's out of here. What about Derrick Henry? What are the chances that we get him back for maybe 2 or 3 more years?
I think Derrick Henry has earned the right. If you want a ring, go get it.
Right. Okay.
And the word was he was nearly traded to the Ravens.
Right.
And, boy, that would have really set them up. I just see him. And I understand that. He's had a great career here. I think we'd love to have him back. I don't think the door's shut. But I think he wants a ring. And right now we're taking I hate the word rebuild, but it's what it is.
Well, rebuild in the NFL now is a year.
Yeah,
versus where it was 5 years ago, 10
and
years
when you
ago.
got $90 million worth of cap space, it can go a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Because we got more cap space than anybody in the league.
Yeah. So what else you hearing?
Well, my question is, what are we going to do on defense?
Right.
We have defensive talent here.
Right.
I'm assuming based on what's here, you would want to keep running a 3-4. That's what Harold Landry fits. I think that's what Big Jeff fits. But we've got players on defense. We really struggle in the secondary. But there's linebackers and defensive linemen. We're good.
How many draft picks have we wasted in the defensive backfield in the last 6 or 7 years? A bunch.
A bunch.
Some of them you get these say, oh man, he's going to be good, and then you just never see him. He just kind of vanishes.
I don't understand it either. I do think you can find corners in free agency, but you got to start hitting on these draft picks too. But my thing is, who's going to be the defensive coordinator? Now, the number one name I'm going to give you is his name is, and I'm going to mispronounce this. It's Chris Kokurek. Kokurek. He's the 49ers defensive line coach.
Okay.
That would be my number one guy for coordinator with the ties to Callahan. He's got ties to Carthon.
Right.
And it would be a good fit. The other name that's out there is Wink Martindale, the former Ravens and Giants DC from last year, but he was with the Ravens for a number of years. Veteran guy. They may want a veteran guy on defense. One thing about Martindale is he blitzes more than any coordinator in the NFL.
Yes, I remember that about him.
He's going to bring it.
Yeah. Well, that's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not.
That's aggressive defense.
And the other one will be James Betker, who is actually Vrabel interviewed in 2018 for the DC job. He's the Bengals linebacker coach, but he's got 49er ties to Carthon, as well as ties with the Bengals to Coach Callahan. So that would be just three names, not having a clue on defense. But again, what's your staff going to be? And I think this is where Callahan separated himself. Being an NFL family with those connections, I think we're going to bring in some pretty good coaches with that.
Okay. What you've gone over right here, if things play out like you've put on paper and you've looked at, just right now, rate this higher on a scale of 1 to 10.
This was who I wanted. I mean, I think I've said it on the show. This was of the people that were available. I wanted to get younger, and I wanted to change the philosophy to get away from ground and pound and win the game 13-10.
Right.
Modernize yourself, and I think that's what we've done here. And it goes back to the scouting department, and they're going to use more. We've missed on so many draft picks, and we're not very fast.
Yeah.
That's one thing we've got to get is faster. Anybody you watch them play on offense and defense, we're slower than the other team.
Yeah. Well, you look at Spears at running back. He has that little twitch to him that it makes him look out of place on the team because everybody else is so slow. I mean, but he has.
And when he's in the game, you don't know it's automatically run. And that's the thing about Shanahan and McVay's offense. When you see them, it's the same look, but you don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
When we line up a certain way, it's
they know. Everybody knows.
2 tight ends, Henry, we're going to run it right here. And our line's not very good.
Yeah. That's a disaster.
Now, I thought some of the play calling this year was a little bit better on that, but you knew when Spears came in, it was different.
Yeah.
I'd love to have Derrick Henry back. I think Derrick Henry's still a great running back.
I do too.
He needs to go somewhere with a good offensive line, a Dallas, a Baltimore.
Yeah.
Maybe a Pittsburgh.
They need to, somebody needs to tailor him a role. Give him a specific role. What is it going to be? And limit his carries to what he can't go in and carry.
How good would we be with Lamar Jackson that can run the ball that way? And you just the RPOs off that.
Yeah, man, that's a two-headed monster right there. Well, I'm gonna give this is a 10. This is absolutely a home run hire, in my opinion.
Well, and I think it was a very thorough thing. I think they interviewed 14, 15 people, which was a very thorough search. And then what I think she narrowed it down to who she wanted. She didn't want somebody else grabbing them. She went ahead and did it.
Got it.
Because other than an in-house promotion, this was the first out-of-house any NFL team made was the Titans.
Yeah.
Now, there was some other people out there, but I think he wanted to get younger.
Right.
And out of the Callahan family's pretty good.
Yeah. And out of all those names that y'all went over a couple of weeks ago, I'm thinking, this is the guy right here.
I would have liked to have Ben Johnson did not want to interview here.
Right.
I was surprised the Slowett guy wasn't one of the finalists because of the ties he had. I don't know if he didn't interview well. I don't know that. But that's why I'm telling you about the guy at offensive coordinator. He was such a good interview, supposedly, Thomas Brown. And then the more you check into him, he was the OC of the Panthers, but it was what he did with the Rams and McVay, and that's obviously the type system we're trying to go to.
Yeah. Well, I think things are on the uptick for the Titans now that they've got this hire. I'll be anxious to see how they handle things between now and draft day. It's going to be fun to watch.
Oh, it's going to be fun to watch. We got a few more picks because of the Bayard trade, a few more picks, and there's going to be some more moving.
Money.
And you save the money.
All right.
Bayard's going to count like $19.6 million against their cap next year.
Okay.
Even if they cut him.
Wow.
And A.J. Brown's having some problems up there right now. If they cut him, $40 million.
That's bad. That's bad. Now, we might see why all that happened now.
We might.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about MTSU Blue Raiders. Derek Mason is putting a staff together that is stellar.
It is stellar. And I don't know that MTSU's ever had a staff like this, and many of you out there don't either, and I just want to mention it. Bobby Reeder, he brought in as the offensive coordinator. OC, Northern Iowa, did a great job. He was at Auburn, QB's coach. OC at Utah State, North Texas, Eastern Washington, and he was a QB's coach at Oklahoma State under Gundy from 2014 to 16. That's a good hire.
Yeah, that's a good hire. That's some experience right there. You're not going to see.
You're not going to see that at an MTSU, especially.
No.
So hats off for that one. How about Brian Stewart is the assistant head coach in DC? I know it's the XFL. He was the DC there, Houston Roughnecks, #1 in total defense. Maryland DC, Baylor cornerbacks, Detroit Lions DB, Rice DC and interim head coach, Nebraska, DC at Maryland for 2 years, DC at Houston College. And according to MTSU, he also coached DBs in Philly, and he was the Cowboys, is what it says on their site, DC in 07 and 08.
Wow.
But impressive right here. Luke Pascal, special teams guy, impressive. Kendall Simmons, O-line coach at Auburn for the last 4 years, brings him over. Bryce Lewis, secondary, Oklahoma State, Auburn, and Vandy's. He's where he's coached secondary. Cornelius Williams, assistant coach, New Mexico, Alabama, Auburn, Troy. When you look through this staff, though, you're not seeing people coaching at Tennessee Tech or UT Chattanooga.
Right.
And I think it tells me they're going to recruit better, they're going to coach better, and the ability of these coaches with connections going back to that portal we talked about.
Right. You got a network of.
You got a network from all over now, and the portal for a place like Middle's huge.
Yeah, it is.
Because you can go get the guy that's homesick now.
Right. Or you can get the guy that's sitting on the bench at Alabama that wants to play immediately, and you bring that talent in, and you've got something.
And like we talked about it earlier off air, but Bob McCullough used to do this at MTSU. He would recruit over 10 or 12 kids. There wasn't a portal, but he hit the transfers.
Right.
And now you got a wide open portal to do that with.
Oh, yeah.
And I just think you're going to see recruiting up. I think you're going to see the local kids go out the roof. Mason's reached out to virtually every coach around here. He's going after local kids.
Right. And you're going to see people go into the stands if we start getting Blue Raiders from the local area. There's no question.
Oh, there's too many graduates like me and a lot of us out here. And it's reasonable to go to the games over there. It's right down the road. Right. It's fun to go to. And it's cheap. I mean, reasonably cheap.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't charge you $10 for a Coca-Cola and $20 for a hamburger.
Yeah. Well, Bill, let's thank our sponsors once again.
Absolutely. Badcock Home Furniture.
And more.
761 Madison Street, right next to McDonald's. Squire Billy King and his staff. The number is 931-685-9644. And they've got everything you want, from mattresses to living room, dining room, home office, electronics. Prices are great. And the big thing is they'll finance you if you need it right in the house.
Yeah. Well, Bill, I know Bedford County high schools are going to kick back into gear now that school's starting back up. So we'll have that coming. And then Saturday, we'll have our normal Saturday morning.
Hopefully got some basketball to talk about.
Yeah, some basketball to talk about, hopefully. And we'll have the Shane Young show back going next week once the Eagles get rolling. And hopefully we'll be able to hear some.
These makeup games are going to be tough. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I could see people playing 3 nights in a row coming up.
I know we've got a special guest coming, Mr. Charlie Pope.
Charlie,
going to come up once he's able to get here, and we'll get to rolling again. It's been a little gap here. It's kind of weird feeling with the kids being out of school this much, but we wanted to bring this information to you today and go over what looks to be some upswing in Middle Tennessee football with the Titans and MTSU. Guys, thanks for watching. And again, we thank Badcock Home Furniture and More and Billy King for being
Squire
a sponsor.
Billy King. Just look on his card. It says Squire.
And we'll be back Saturday morning. Thanks for watching. See you then.